Our proposal is to renovate the Calvin Smith Library into a space that's more conducive to social gatherings, to sharing ideas, to doing group projects, to basically bring students together. Our emphasis is on simple changes that have as much impact as possible. We don't want to make this too complex, and really there's no need to. All you have to do is open up some space and provide inviting furniture, and people will utilize that space as you intend.
Why can't we make this more like Hogwarts and make it very plush furniture?
We have to imitate those spaces, make it look more like, say, a living room, a home in a living room, and then people will be more amenable to using that space.
I study better when I'm not studying all the time. I need breaks. That's why I prefer my suite. I'm able to turn on a TV and watch some random TV show for some time, then go back and study. So we're thinking about having independent study pods, which offers a reclusive study area without taking up as much space.
So we're mixing up spaces without allowing their uses to contradict each other. One of the major complaints was that the current aesthetics of the library just are not amenable to the student population. Mm-hmm. Varnished wood and black leather couches just do not strike them as a comfortable space together, apparently. But really our emphasis is more on shifting things around, buying a few choice pieces of furniture, putting in this gallery, maybe repainting a few walls, basically keep costs down.
I really like your idea of being able to physically separate the active and the quiet space, actually per floor, because the challenge is with such an open floor plan, how do you do it within one level? So I think that was excellent insight.
The Calvin Smith Library is an important resource for our community for various reasons, and it's an incredible academic resource. It really unifies Cleveland Institute of Art, the Cleveland Institute of Music, and Case Western Reserve University with the surrounding community. Because the groups have incredibly diverse needs, we felt it was important to simplify the services into easily accessible and identifiable areas.
One thing that we noticed is that a lot of people thought the library was a little overwhelming because there's so much and it's such a big space. So they said immediate sense of bearings would be really helpful.
A large part of our design goal was to increase accessibility with signage and wayfinding. Our 4 main icons that we came up with go with each of our 4 notes. For our icon system, we wanted to keep them color-coded so that they fit in with the aesthetics of each space, and also keep simple, easy-to-understand icons to help cross language barriers.
And I guess we wanted to really separate a place where you go recreationally and a place where you would go to get work done. And that was kind of the idea behind the 3 separate study areas.
So our idea of nooks are these areas that contain centralized resources for either studying, reference, the cafe area, or etc. By localizing the technology next to the Friedman Center, we create one thematic area that's very centralized. I believe that what we're kind of going for is still the academic sense. We're not trying to create necessarily a highly social area. The first floor will always have noise, so it'll be slightly more social than, say, the second or third floors, where the third floor has a completely quiet study room. But we think that through the use of the modular seating and tables, it can be used to basically suit any need.
This was a very clear and intuitive, both sort of published and spoken presentation. And if I can quote, you were looking for a fresh, clean, and cohesive design with a few pops of color, and I think even the way you presented it is exactly consistent with that. So,
our idea is to create a series of distinct spaces that transition smoothly from the lively cafe to the peaceful reading area. And that brings us to the central idea of our redesign, which is dynamic interactions. You can think of dynamic interactions as the level of noise, the amount of contact one initiates with people, or the length of time a person stays at a particular stop.
And so the first area we propose designing would be an active lounge area. It would be formed by a central fireplace as well as a freeform couch, and the feel would just be laid back and comfortable, and it'd be right near the cafe. Another piece of the design would be these new conversation booths.
More interesting design would be a mezzanine. So with the mezzanine, it's just kind of like this high-rise where we would kind of divide the first floor into first floor and a 1.5 floor.
And we also propose to replace the cubicle computer carrels with circular ones.
We propose 2 distinct outdoor study areas. The first would be a continuation of the cafe, and the second would be a continuation of a quieter reading area. We propose that this area be completely sustainable in design. Another unique feature would be the introduction of sun tables, which are capable of powering laptops and other small electronics.
I like your idea of it indoor-outdoor continuum, and I think that would be one way of drawing people into the library, is having that transition.
One of the consistent things in all three was that people feel like once they started using the library, they realized how much was here and how much people did not understand what actually is available here.
I love the idea of the outdoor spaces. I mean, that is something that I think this campus has very, very, very little of.
I think proposing the mezzanine was fairly bold. I think the execution part was a little shaky, but the idea of finding more square footage without changing the footprint of the building is something worth exploring.
I also like the idea of the art gallery. And I mean, that could be a natural draw for the CIA students to come over here.
And that would fit in setting up exhibits, and you could actually have student interns as a component of this, working with, bring the faculty in as a part of that.
And the art idea really came up in every presentation.
Right.
Some kind of a public gallery space to display. So that tells us it's an important element.
The idea of being able to come in and actually quickly scan the room and understand where everything is intuitively, because it's color-coded and boiled down to kind of a simple symbol, would really make a huge difference.
And so that subtle cue of a color-coded area is going to naturally, intuitively register with people.
I think what we need to think about is what's going to increase the use. We know that the students already come for the quiet space, so I don't think we're going to increase necessarily more of those students. That the additive value is going to come from the social hub, the attraction, and that piece of it.